Lochoyo sampo pagyo trashi pa tuche tempe trile yarngoda pelge drolor zampe tse parache pande alame shabla solvade Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimo Nishasane Karm Utta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimo Nishasane Karm Utta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimo Nishasane Karm Utta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimo Nishasane Karm Utta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimo Nishasane Karm Utta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimo Nishasane Karm Utta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Dagi Jitsun Lama Tuje Che Nyamda Dala Tuje Siksu Su Gebe Shisan Dala Tendu Su Uyon Sungge Nawa Tsedu Su Tseji Ningne Solwa Debe Tse Dejen Korlo Viso Lekshune Ila Sambe Dudu Malupa Gemel Hungi Drubra Chingi Lo Tsoni Sodan Dikdun Shakpe Tse Dunge Namke Yinsu Lekshune Alapchen Tsoni Yonsu Tsopada Chera Nidun Chamra Chingi Lo Chancho Pargi Nintsen Tukuntu Niu Peme Siudru Lekshune Chancho Drube Gegen Kunshishi Tungen de la Drubra Chingi Lo Dagi Lo Nachen Chopadan Chemi Samchurang Emba Shiwadan Chodan Tumbe Dudun Malupa Drubra Jingi Lo Dorna Tingne Tsira Tamche Dan Techi Pordu Nekab Tamche Tu Rese Kyamne Lama Kele Me Tukche Chingi Dala Siksu So Gongyab Drewe Nyamda Dajala Chetsun Lame Tuje Rab Gongne Kudan Sungi Nawa Dralme Tu Nyamsunyongwe Kesan Toprasho Kewa Kundu Yanda Lama Dan Rame Cheki Pela Longchechi Sadan Lamgi Yende Rabzone Dorje Change Koba Nyur Tobe Sho Pakyuke Kudan Dagi Alu Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Anga Pakyuke Tukdan Dagi Tenyerme Chiktu Chingi Alu Makyuke Kudan Dagi Alu Makyuke Sundan Dagi Ngam Makyuke Tukdan Dagi Tenyerme Chiktu Chingi Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Sakyamunye Swaha. Sashipeki Choshiameto Tramare Ravalingashin Nyendegempadi Sangye Shintum Mikte Ulwarki Drokunanam Dashingla Choparam Shoye Damanguru Ratna Mandrala Kam Niryatayami Sangye Chodan Soge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsochi Dagi Chushe Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchira Sangye Drupara Shu Sangye Chodan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuchin Dagi Chushe Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchira Sangye Drupara Shu Sangye Chodan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chin Dagi Chushe Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchira Sangye Druparasho. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Nel Buddha, nel Dharma e nel Sangha prendo rifugio fino all'illuminazione. Con la pratica della generosità e delle altre perfezioni possa io ottenere lo stato di Buddha per il beneficio di tutti gli esseri senzienti. Lai ke da ludan nue chin ke drupun da mi ke nam dam druwa kuin ge ranama che tsam pa tham che ke do da ge che ten. Buongiorno, good morning. There is a passage in the discussion between wisdom and ignorance by Panchen Losang Chogi Gyaltsen, Daksin Shaktib, in which wisdom refers to compassion, to the altruistic will, and ignorance refers mainly to selfishness. And there is a moment in which wisdom is saying to ignorance, oh, you need to go away because you are causing all the suffering to the person. So this beautiful book is basically the person in the middle, wisdom in one side, ignorance in the other, talking, you know, and debating between them. And so there is a moment in which wisdom is saying, oh, you ignorance, selfishness, you are the cause of all suffering, you should go away. You shouldn't be there, you shouldn't stay there anymore. Go away. And then selfishness answers, the ignorance answers saying, haha, you think it's that easy, such as sending me away? I have been your friend, referring to the person. I have been the most near friend to the heart since such a long time. You cannot send me away just by saying it. Even because there is something that all the Buddhas always wanted is for me to go away, but here I am. I'm still here. And not only that, if I go away, who is going to take care of the person? Who's going to get him or her food, clothes? Who's going to take care? You think others will do? Forget about it. If I am not there, who will take care? Then ignorance goes further and says, and not only that, if you say that I am harmful and I'm going away and so on, if you have any possibility of coming near, it's thanks to me. If the person has any approach towards anything spiritual, it's thanks to me, says selfishness. So forget about sending me away. And actually, it's true. If we have any approach towards compassion, towards wisdom, on our own path to enlightenment, and so on, behind it, is there selfishness or not? Is there this wish to get happy and not to suffer? Is there this our own obsession with self-gratification? Is it present? Yes. So here comes one important key, which this is my own understanding, so it could be right as it could be wrong, but hopefully it's right. That if we want to eliminate selfishness in order to develop an altruistic mind, we won't make it. Especially because the basis to develop altruism is selfishness. We come from that state. We cannot eliminate what we are in order to become something new. The only way is through a process of transformation. And transformation requires taking what is present and shaping it differently so it becomes something else. There is a very big difference between eliminate one and then create the other, and between transform. It's like, making whatever, just one example came to my mind. Let's say someone is doing one job, and then at a certain moment, I see that a person is not doing the job correctly. So I need someone else to do the job. Okay, I need the job to be done in a different way. So here we have two possibilities. One possibility is the person is sent away, and then we get someone else to do the job. Okay? But I can only have the new person doing the job when the old one is gone. Okay, so I send one away, and then I put another one to do the job. The other possibility is I teach that person how to do the job correctly. So I transform the person. The person before was not having enough attention or whatever, and then by going through a proper training, the person actually is able to do the job correctly. That's called transformation. The other one is called substitution. Okay? we cannot substitute selfishness with altruism. We can only transform. We're not able to take the mind, the selfish mind, and say, okay, go out. Then there is a sort of bardo state in between. And then we put altruism inside. This is simply not working. Because as selfishness was saying in the text, if you are doing anything even good to yourself, it's thanks to me. I am there behind you practicing Dharma. So the only way is by selfishly understanding that it's better to be altruistic. And seeing that altruism, it's not an alternative to selfishness. Altruism is an extension of selfishness. Basically, selfishness is this strong obsession with self-gratification, with I want to be happy, I don't want to suffer. Altruism is where we take that same obsession and what we do, we simply include others in the same way. Do I want to be happy? Yes. Do I want to suffer? No. But as much as I want to be happy, I want you to be happy. As much as I don't want to suffer, I also don't want you to suffer. So instead of substituting, we are transforming. Okay, I think it's clear, no? So the problem is not to wish to be happy and not to want to suffer. That's fine. The problem is when this attitude is completely focused only in the I and the my, and we are not able at all to look at others. And this creates a lot of other sufferings and problems to ourselves, which the day before yesterday we talked about it, or the day before, now I'm confused, but in which we went more in details in the fact that selfishness, this obsession with self-gratification, actually becomes the main cause of our own suffering. But it's important for us to understand that the process to eliminate selfishness is not to send it away, is to transform it. It's a process of transformation, not a process of substitution. We don't need to go against our selfishness. We need to expand it. I say this especially because we live in a culture, in a society, in which we are very strongly influenced by these dualistic views. So very strongly, we have this idea that when I am doing something for myself, I am excluding others, so there is some sort of guilty in that. And when I am doing something for others, I am actually sacrificing my own needs. Okay? Because we live in this binary world, in this completely dualistic view. The objective here is to do what we call dakshin nyamje, to equalize and exchange self with others. So the objective basically is when I'm doing something for myself, I'm also doing it for others. When I'm doing something for others, I'm also doing it for myself. I make no more difference between one and the other. Okay? So the point that we need, the first point that we have here in the 7 points mind training, in which we are in page 41. Lelentamche chikla da kunla kadrin chewagom. Banish the one to blame for everything. First of all, we need to recognize clearly that behind every form of suffering that we experience, who is to blame finally is our own selfishness. This is the one making the whole trouble behind. And we need to go through it again and again. We need to reflect upon it again and again. We need to familiarize ourselves with it again and again until we can somehow feel it. Making it somehow simple. Most of our sufferings, if we look to our own lives, we have most mental suffering than physical suffering, mainly. And all our suffering normally is connected to a negative emotion, such as anger or jealousy or fear or anxiety or insatisfaction and so on. And if we look behind each and every one of these emotions is the obsession with self-gratification. If this obsession with self-gratification is not there, there is no fertile land for anger and jealousy and fear and so on to manifest. On the other side, it's also interesting to look from the perspective that the more I am obsessed with my own self-gratification, with the I and the my, the more fragile my own happiness becomes. The less I am obsessed with my and the my, the less fragile is my own happiness. Okay. So this is one important step. Lelen tamche chiklada. Banish the one to blame for everything. Second, kun la kadrin chewagom. Familiarize yourself or meditate, we can translate in different ways, on the great kindness of all beings. Simchen kunla kadrin chewagom. Ketu subadi shindu norwar tongnes, simchen kunla kadrin chewagom, simchen shingi dunga gyudan chebar, rala tsurlembar. Okay. Kunla kadrin chewagom. Here we enter into one small phrase, but it has a very important part on the training, okay? Which is, our objective in this training is basically to allow ourselves to love others as we love ourselves. Which means your happiness is as important to me as my own. Your suffering is as important to me as my own. But we cannot do this if not through the resources that we already have. Okay, we have repeated this again and again. Okay, so the process here, it goes through, we have two lineages of training that they come together, which one is called the 7 causes and results to develop bodhichitta, Gyunre Mengadun, or the 7 causes and result instructions. And the other system is called Dakshinyamje, which is equalizing and exchanging self with others. These are the 2 systems that we have in order to develop great love and compassion, in order to develop bodhicitta. Okay, so we will integrate the 2. So here in this verse, it's talking about most of the 7 causes and results. Then after that comes the equalizing and exchanging self with others. So first step, in order to generate the gratitude towards all sentient beings, to train on that, first we need to train in equanimity. So after seeing selfishness as something that we need to abandon, as something that is harmful towards us, the other step is first developing equanimity. There are many forms of equanimity, okay? When we say equanimity, we have this idea that to act with equanimity means that we need to do exactly the same towards everyone. And this is actually not true. equanimity doesn't mean to do the same towards everyone. Equanimity in this context mainly means that you act with the same attitude towards everyone. It's like, imagine a father or a mother with 5 children. Doesn't mean that the parent to act with equanimity needs to scold all of them at the same time. No, or need to act exactly in the same way to all of them. I know people that the parents had this attitude, and it's quite disturbing actually. Because if I am equanimous with people around me, I will act towards each one in accordance to their own needs and capacity. If I have 5 children and one needs little bit a more strong attitude, I will have, and the other ones need more soft, I will be more soft according to their own needs. I need to adapt myself to their needs and their capacities. But I'm not having more attraction for the happiness of one or the other. I wish each and every one of them to be happy in the same way. I want each and every one of them not to suffer in the same way. But I adapt myself to their capacities and to their needs. This means to act with equanimity. So there are here 2 levels of equanimity. One level is regarding the way how we see others, and the other level is the way regarding the way how we relate to others. Okay? So how we see others, which is the first type of equanimity here, is first of all we start observing other people, other animals, every form of life, and we start to see clearly that everyone wishes to be happy. There is no one that doesn't want to be happy. And each and every sentient being do not want to suffer. And most of the times it's not satisfied with the happiness that have. There is one verse in the Guru Puja talking exactly about this. Verse 90. Dunga tramo tsamya miduchin dela namya chokshe mebarni dagdan shenla kebar yomingshe shende gawa kebar jingilob. Okay, I have the text here in Italian, but I can do a quick translation. There is no difference between ourselves and others. No one wishes for the slightest form of suffering, and yet is not happiness with the happiness that he or her has. Comprehending this, I request your blessings to be able to exchange myself with others and to give them joy and to bring them to bliss. So basically, here it's saying, there is no difference between myself and others. No one wishes even the slightest form of suffering, and everybody wants to be happy. There is not one being that we see that doesn't want to be happy. You know, one time I told this experience of mine many times, but it was quite touching. I was at my room. Actually, I had just finished having shower, and then there was one of these small insect that here in Albagnano, in the period of just before the winter starts, many of them come to the house. We call them in Italian cimici. Is this small bug. I don't know how it's called in English. Anyhow, that if by chance they get squeezed, they have a very strong smell. Okay? So I have many of these in my house. Okay? It's a sort of sanctuary for this bug somehow, because they come in, I don't do anything to these bugs, I let them there, we coexist together, no problem. So they come, And then one day, I just finished having shower, and I look, and there was one of this bug. And it was drinking water. There was some water somewhere, and then it was drinking water there. And then, for one moment, I just allowed myself, without thinking, it was not conceptual, but I just allowed myself to see that being in front of me. To see, and I could somehow feel that actually it doesn't want to suffer and it wants to be happy. No? It's looking for a warmer place to be. It's looking after to find water. What's the difference between us and this bug? We are just more elaborated and complicated. But do we want to be happy? Yes. Do we want to suffer? No. And the third aspect that makes all of us the same is that each and every one of us, we are doing everything that we can for our own happiness, guided by our own ignorance. We do the best that we can within our own abilities. That's what we do all the time. So truly, what is the difference between myself and you? Or anyone else? Anyone that we may see or meet, what is the difference between us? Some are tall, others are shorter. We have different colors of skin. We have different ways of thinking. We have different points of view. We have so many differences. But on the basis, every one of us want to be happy. No one of us want to suffer. And we do everything we do thinking is the best for our own happiness. There is no difference between any one of us. So we need to feel this. The first part of equanimity is when we see someone and we feel, wow, actually there is no difference between us. Okay? I don't know if you have ever experienced meeting someone that has a similar disease as you, or have gone through a similar problem as we are going through. What do we feel towards that person? We feel more far or we feel more near? We feel more near. We feel somehow connected. Oh, we have something in common. You know, you can understand me, I can understand you, we have gone through the same things. Actually, we have something deeply, profoundly in common with every sentient being. It doesn't matter who they may be. Okay. Once we are able to feel this, and we need to go through it again and again, we need to remind ourselves, we need to look upon it again and again to other sentient beings, and being able even to see people that maybe we despise. Okay? And because it's easier for us to look at those that we see as weak, as vulnerable. But what about those that according to us are the ones that are harming others? So-called enemies. You know, they can be someone we know personally, can be someone that we don't know personally, but is somehow a public figure, can be a politician, can be whatever. Just try to imagine, is there anyone that you have known or you may have not known that is from your time or is a historic figure? Then when you think about, you say, okay, that's a bad person. Or you can think about someone from a movie that you saw. Okay? And you can feel, oh, that's really someone mean. Okay? Can you get someone? Try to connect to one person. And then observe this person with all the violence and all the aggression and all the anger and whatever, and allow yourself for a moment to see if this person wishes to be happy or not. To see if this person likes to suffer or not. And finally, if he or she is doing everything he or she is capable to do in order to be happy and not to suffer. Guided by his or her own ignorance, finally. Acting through selfishness. Just as me. What is the difference? The opportunities we have had, the experiences we've gone through, the choices that were made. But on the basis, the wish to be happy and not to suffer, and the fact that we do everything we can in order to be happy and not to suffer, there is no difference whatsoever between us and anyone else. Okay, this is the first step. And we need to repeat to us again and again. We need to go through the logical process. We need to visualize everyone around us as we do our practices and put them in the same position. And gradually familiarize yourself with equanimity. The second type of equanimity is there not to be attraction to one or aversion to another. Is in which we act towards everyone in the same way. So the first equanimity is how we see others. The second equanimity is how we relate towards others. So it's the equanimity in which we do not act with attraction to one and aversion to another. We attract with the same attitude towards everyone, which is based on love. But this is something that comes later, so I'm not going to go into details now. Okay? On the actual training that we go through, now we focus on the equanimity of how we see others. Then from here, the basis is the equanimity. Then we start with the 7. The 7 are Marshe, Tindren, Tinso, Yuwon, Ningje, Yuwon Champa, Ninje, Aksam, Semki. So basically we have the literal translation of the 7 steps are Marshe, recognizing sentient beings as our own mother, or recognizing the mother, Marshe. Tindren, remembering gratitude. Tinsoa, wishing to repay back the kindness. Yuwon Changpa, developing sympathy and love. Ningje, developing compassion. Haksam, developing an extraordinary attitude, which means to take responsibility upon one's own self for others. And then Semke, which is the mind of bodhichitta. Okay? Now we'll go through each one of them. First step, recognizing one's own mother. And here we have quite a problem. Because in order to develop bodhicitta, one of the very fundamental aspects is for us to feel near to others, to feel connected with others, to feel near with others. Okay? And what we need here is, first step is to develop gratitude. Gratitude is a fundamental feeling, without which we will not be able to develop the rest. We must feel gratitude. We must feel the kindness of others. We must feel gratitude towards others. So, We will never be able to feel gratitude towards all sentient beings if first we are not able to feel gratitude towards those that have helped us a lot, that are caring for us, that are most near to us. So let's imagine, if we get sick and we are not able to walk, we are not able to eat by ourselves, we are not able to protect ourselves from cold and heat, we are not able to clean ourselves alone, and then someone comes and dedicates his or her full time to take care of us. Okay, without asking anything as an exchange. Just coming and cleaning us, feeding us, washing us, giving us medicine and taking care of our food and taking care of us in every aspect. Would we feel gratitude towards this person or not? What would be our feeling towards this person? Would we at least say thank you? I expect so, no? We should have a feeling inside. We say, wow, you really saved my life. You really helped me a lot. Now I can stand up by myself, I can eat by myself, I can do everything. But if it was not for you, I would have not survived. And I would have gone through a lot of suffering. So I am completely grateful. Try to imagine this situation and someone taking care of every aspect of us. Naturally we feel gratitude, or not? Hopefully. Okay? Now, have we ever gone through such a situation? Have we ever been in a situation in which we could not feed ourselves? We could not walk? We could not take care of our own survival by ourselves? We could not keep ourselves warm, or we could not wash ourselves, and so on. Did we ever go through such situation? Each and every one of us did, in the moment we were born. When we were a baby just born, could we walk? Could we take care of our own livelihood? Could we eat by ourselves? Or wash ourselves? Or take care on any aspect? How long would we have survived if there was not someone there to take care of our basic needs? I don't know, but very shortly, I suppose. So, the fact is that each and every one of us, because we are here today, it means we survived our early childhood. And this has been only possible through the kindness of someone. It could have been our biological mother, or someone else. Could have been our biological father, or someone else. The fact is that someone took care of us when we most needed. Or not? Okay, just simple fact. I am alive. I survived this very difficult moment in which if someone was not taking care of me on every aspect of my needs, I would have not survived. Do we remember? I believe not. This doesn't mean that it was not there. You know? If someone helps us today, and someone have helped us 20 years ago, is there a sort of expiry date for gratitude? I don't think so. Okay? It doesn't matter. You helped me 30 years ago. I should feel grateful to you in the same way as I feel grateful to someone who have helped me today. Truly, there is no difference into that. So, first step we need to, of this part called marche, is we need to connect to our own mother. Okay? if someone was adopted or someone was not raised by one's own biological mother, we're not talking here about biological mother. We are talking here about someone, whoever it was, that actually took care of us as we were a very, very small baby and saved our life and took care of us with kindness. Right? In most of the cases is our own biological mother. Father also, but mainly mother. Okay? And if we look in history, these teachings come from a time which has more than 2,000 years. And very often in different cultures, the father would not even know that he was the father sometimes. And the father would be busy hunting somewhere, working somewhere else, going to some war, who knows what. So not always the father was present, but the mother has always been present. In some cases not, but then there was someone else doing the job. So what is important right now for us is just try to connect to whoever took care of us in our own childhood. And we will call this person our mother. Connect to our own mother, independently of anything else, and feel gratitude. Why I said in the beginning we have a problem is that in Tibetan culture, coming from Indian culture, I believe, or Eastern culture anyhow, in Tibetan culture, every child is somehow brainwashed since very small. You must feel gratitude towards the parents. You must feel gratitude towards the parents. You must feel gratitude towards the parents. This is something that is constantly repeated. And even if the parents may do terrible things toward the children, they have still that fixed idea, I need to feel gratitude towards my parents. It's always there. So when you say, feel gratitude towards the parents, it's something very basic. It's very natural. In our context, it's not precisely like that. Right? We grow up and we generate an idealized image of how our parents should have been. And our tendency, as we go through teenage, is gradually to look for faults in our own parents. And see what are they doing wrong. What they are their characteristics that I don't like. Oh, you are weak, you are this, you are that, whatever. How you did this to me, how you did that to me. Okay, now, is there any parent that will not harm their children in a way or another? I don't believe so, unless they are Buddhas. Any human being, when interacting one with the other, naturally manifest their selfishness, their anger, their fears, and we harm each other in many different ways, even when we don't want. Okay? So, is it normal that we were harmed by our parents? Yes, as we harm them also. Is it normal for children to harm their parents? Is there anyone that said, I was never harmed by my children by any means? I don't think it exists. Okay? As the same way that there are no children that were not harmed by their parents in some way. Some of them less, some of them more. But here, we need to start with one very, very clear concept, which is a saying that we have in Brazil, which is uma coisa, outra coisa, outra coisa. One thing is one thing, another thing is another thing. Which means the fact that you harm me doesn't take away the benefit that you did to me. We need to separate the two things. Okay? We need to understand our parents are not Buddhas, and they act out of their own ignorance, trying to do the best.
But there is fact that beyond all our idealized image of what our parents should be and shouldn't be, and all our judgment and everything that comes together with it, there is a very simple fact that no one can say is not true. We are alive. We have survived our early childhood. And someone has taken care of us. And some of us may say, oh, but that's their choice to make a child, It's not a matter if it was their choice or not. It's not a matter if they like it or not to be a parent. It's a simple fact that they took care of me. My mother, my father took care of me. And mostly with kindness. Mostly with love. Then, afterwards, came out that they were not true bodhisattvas and Buddhas. And we somehow grow up with a very idealized image of how parents should be, a mother or a father. You are a mother, how can you do this? You are a father, how can you do that? So, it's difficult in a way because on the basis of developing bodhicitta, this first of the 7 steps is feeling gratitude towards, based on the gratitude that we have towards our own mother. And most of the people that I know have difficulties with their mother and father. So we need first step to pacify that. Okay. Before talking about great bodhicitta and all sentient beings, let's start with one called mother. Okay, and someone may say, can't I do all sentient beings first? No. First, we start with our own mother. Okay? So in this process, we need to see what we have received. And if someone, which there are people that were not brought up by their own biological mother, but there was someone else, then we connect to that person. Okay? Which could be a man, it could be our father actually, it could be another person that took care of us. But when I say here mother, I mean the person that actually was the main person there taking care of us as we were born. Okay? Which in the most of the cases is our own natural mother. So, we start by feeling gratitude, by connecting to our mother and being able to say thank you. Being able to feel within our own heart, wow, you have given me a lot. You have taken care of me when I mostly needed. And we allow ourselves to feel gratitude. Then, on the other side, are there things that our mother did that we don't like? Are there ways how she behaves that we don't agree? Are there choices that she may have done that we don't agree? Are many other things? Yes and no, depend on each one of us, but technically yes. But one thing doesn't take away the other. Okay? We have this attitude to idealize people. I have seen this, with the guru happens the same. We have this attitude that we put the guru high, way above, there, then we take a gun and start look for defects. Oh, the mother is so important, the father is so important. We idealize the person. It's like the other day someone said to me, oh, this person behaved in this way to me, lied to me. How can this person be my friend? I thought this person was my friend. This person cannot be my friend because this person lied to me. then sorry, you can have no friends. Because anyone, when in a moment of fear, in a moment of not knowing how to act and so on, every common being ends up reacting in different ways, and one of them is lying. And it happens in life. I don't know if there is anyone here that never lied in your life. The problem is that we feel hurt by the way someone acts, and then we put the person doesn't fit in the category. You're not a friend. So first, I give you this honor of being my friend, then I take you away from it. Because you don't have the category, you don't have the characteristics necessary to fulfill this idealized image I have. You know? And somehow we do this with our parents. And by saying that we need to feel this profound gratitude towards our parents, I'm not saying that we need to say that everything they do is right and we need to follow everything that they tell us. I'm not saying this. I'm saying that we need to feel gratitude for everything that we receive. It doesn't matter from who it is. And the first step is being able to feel gratitude towards our own mother. For some people it's very easy, for others it's very difficult. Okay, I think it's quite clear, no? So, we should repeat this exercise of looking towards our own mother and allowing ourselves to feel gratitude, to feel this feeling of, wow, thank you for what you have given to me. Thank you for taking care of me when I most need it, in so many different occasions in my life, starting from the first period of my life when I most need it. Then, by doing this, we are also making one very important step, which is making a division between gratitude and harm. The fact that you did something to me and I feel gratitude to you doesn't mean that I will not see the harm, doesn't mean that there was no harm. If there is harm, this doesn't take away the benefits that I receive. This doesn't take away the gratitude that I feel. Okay? Yeah, Bernard. Mm-hmm. Yes. Sure. Okay. I don't remind now particular differences on the commentaries itself. No? The fact of reminding ourselves of the gratitude of our mother for carrying us during the 9 months and forgiving us, for our father and mother for giving us the body also. It's something that is present, yes. The most important thing is that we need to go through a process that helps us to connect with the feeling of gratitude. That's the essence. No? And during the 9 months of pregnancy of our own mother, sure, a lot was done to take care of us, and this is something of which we should be very grateful. No? But still, I feel that in the context in which we are, we connect even more with the moments in which we were actually taken care. And the important thing is that we need to go beyond the aspect of the judgment of why they did it. Because some of us may say, oh, but my mother didn't want to have me. Oh, but my mother was not happy about her pregnancy. Oh, but my mother didn't like me, or whatever. Even in that case, she still took care of me. And if it was not for her, I would have not been here. I would have gone through a lot of other suffering. So, we need to allow each one of us a different process. It's not the same for everyone. We need to adapt to our own personal reality. But the main point here is to allow ourselves to feel gratitude for one person. And in this case, we are talking about the mother. There is also the father. We're not here in doing family therapy, okay? We are talking about basically allowing ourselves to feel gratitude. This is the most important thing, because after the mother, there is also the father. Then there is gratitude for the teachers. For example, we are able to read and write. If I'm able to read, it means someone taught me how to read. Shouldn't I feel gratitude towards that person? Oh, but that was his or her job. They were paid for it. But they taught me. And if I know how to read and write, it means they taught me. Oh, but if they have not taught me, someone else would have done it. But it was them. It was that person, that teacher who taught me. So I should feel gratitude towards who taught me. And it's very important for us to enter into this way of allowing oneself to feel gratitude for whoever gives something precious to us. And we do depend on others. We do depend on others' interaction with us for our own basic well-being and survival. Okay? So, in the process of the first one, marche, we start by, which means recognizing one's mother. Ma means mother. Mar with the R, it's actually to the mother. Mar, she means recognize. To recognition to the mother, or recognizing the mother. Okay? So this first step of recognition towards the mother, or recognizing the mother, it starts by connecting from our heart towards our own mother. And allowing ourselves to feel gratitude. But we can only move forward, truly, when we feel this gratitude not in our head, but in our heart. When we are able actually to feel this warm feeling of gratitude. Okay. The difficulty that we have is that very often when we receive a lot from someone, we end up taking for granted. We end up forgetting what we receive. That's why one of the ways to help us to connect with this feeling of gratitude is first imagine in the present moment in which we are, we imagine someone helping us a lot. Someone that even we don't know. Coming and helping us when we most need. That's why I started today by saying, imagine what if we are sick, we cannot walk, we cannot eat by ourselves, we cannot wash ourselves, and so on, and someone comes and helps us on every aspect. Would we feel gratitude or not? Yes. The same is towards our mother. So, we allow ourselves to feel gratitude. And once we are able to do that, then we start expanding. Because in this life, I have my mom, and I'm grateful towards her. I feel the kindness of my mother. I feel gratitude towards her. But in my previous life, did I have a mother? Most probably yes, unless there are 2 types of rebirth. According to Buddhist teachings, there are 4 types of rebirth, which is the rebirth from a mother's womb, the rebirth within an egg, the miraculous rebirth, and the rebirth from heat is called. They are said that some sort of microorganisms and some sort of insects and microorganisms do not have father and mother. This is ancient texts. And the other way, it is saying that others are born from miraculous form. It means to be reborn in the hell realm or in the God realms, in the Deva realms, in which there is no father and mother also, or being born in the Bardo also. Okay? Otherwise, we have a father and we have a mother. We have, it doesn't matter in which type of animal realm we are born, as a human or as any other form. And in every life, let's say, my past life, was there a mother? Did she take care of me? Yes. Should I feel grateful towards her? Should I feel gratitude? Why should I feel gratitude towards the mother of this life and not the one of the other? A gratitude doesn't have an expiry date, kindness. And like this, we should expand it gradually to everyone, because the logic behind is that we have had so many lives that actually, basically everyone we meet at some point was our mother, and we were also theirs. Because there were so many lives that the possibilities are countless. Okay? But let's go through another path together, which I think it fits very well in our time. We start by feeling gratitude towards our own mother. And then we start to look at other sentient beings with whom we interact. We look at our father. How much has he given to us? We feel gratitude. We look to our friends. We look towards every person that we interact with in our life that have been so important for us. We would not exist as we are if it was not for others. You know? And if we allow ourselves to go beyond, we will see that even right now that we are breathing, that we can eat, is thanks to other beings. No one of us exists in an independent way from others. You know? It's like imagine that at one moment we have no oxygen, enough oxygen to breathe. Okay? I don't know if any one of you have ever had the experience of having not enough oxygen. I have had it a few times when traveling in Tibet. 2 times I did the stupid thing of running in Tibet. I was like 4,500 meters high, and I just started running as fast as I could to play with someone else. It was nothing to do, and he was not running from anything. And one of these 2 times was together with Lama Ganchen's nephew, and he was born in Tibet. His lungs are simply different. And then it was a small hill, and we ran together as fast as we could. We reached together, but he was like everything normal. I was in the floor with so much pain in my chest, like my lungs were burning like fire. It was like quite a difficult experience. You know? And I felt the lack of air. You know? So, imagine that now we can breathe. And we do it naturally. as if it's normal, as if we take for obvious that we can breathe air. How important is that oxygen for us? Fundamental. If we are without oxygen and some point someone comes and gives us oxygen, how grateful we are to that person. A lot. Okay? Now, shall we feel gratitude, for example, for the whales in the ocean? Okay, what has a whale to do with me? Very simple. Every time we breathe, actually, it depends on a whale also. Very simple. The oxygen that we breathe, where does it come from? Photosynthesis. Okay? Great part of the photosynthesis that happen in this planet, it's done in the ocean. Okay? The plants that are in the ocean, much more than actually all the forests that are around. Okay? The plants that live in the ocean, this plankton, I think is the name, no? That lives in the ocean, it needs to be fertilized, it needs to be fed by something. And the main fertilizer for the plankton is the shit of whales. Now, try to think the size of a whale and a small fish. I think the whale can fertilize much more than a small fish, no? So what happens is that the whales, they have this thing that they come up to take oxygen every half an hour, something like this. So they are constantly going from deep as 1,000 meters down, and then they go up again to the surface. And as they go up and down, they do their own physiological needs, you know. And as their excrements go around the ocean, this is what is basically feeding the plankton that does the photosynthesis that we breathe. If they were not there anymore, and if one day, if we continue to destroy and kill them, one day, most probably, we'll have no enough oxygen to breathe. So, shall we feel gratitude for the whale? Is the whale aware when the whale is doing caca that is actually helping other beings to breathe? Do you think the whale is aware of that? Maybe, yes, I don't think so. Okay? So the whale has no idea how she's important for all of us. But yet, she's very important, and we shall feel gratitude. Because if we can breathe, it's thanks also to these beings. For example, how are microorganisms important in our body when we eat? Different forms of bacteria and so on. How are they important to us? Just one example. When one bacteria that we need is missing, how much suffering we go through? We cannot digest our own food, for example. Should we feel gratitude towards these beings or not? They are helping us. And like this, we could go on and on and on and on to see how our basic survival depends on the interaction of a countless numbers of beings. And if we have a minimum of, how to say, using a word is not the best, but if we have a minimum of good character, we should at least feel gratitude towards them. Because if I can survive, if I can breathe, if I can eat, if I can digest, if I can live, basically, it's because there are countless number of beings that through their interaction make all of this possible. So, what do I have to do with all of them? The simple fact that I am alive. Isn't that more than enough? You know, just take, for instance, a plate of food. How many people work behind it? How many people need to put their energy in order for us to be able to have that food? I'm not talking only about those that are cooking and cleaning, those that are making the shopping and the orders, those that are bringing the transport of the food, those that are planting, and all the rest around. It's thousands of people in one plate of food. You know, we depend on others. Not only human beings, every form of life, we do depend on others. This planet, it's in a very delicate yet stable balance, harmony between all forms of life, how one depends on the other. Okay? So, why not just to feel gratitude, just to be able to look and to see how much we receive constantly, and to say thank you, to say wow. Maybe it's more easy to feel gratitude for the whale because whales are nice, beautiful animals, you know. But so many forms of life that makes our own life possible. So, we should train ourselves into this process of connecting ourselves with others and saying thank you and feeling gratitude, you know. Our own knowledge of every aspect, it's due to the knowledge of others that came before us, that have been summed up and transmitted to us, that we can now receive and practice and do things. So many people involved. So the first step of the 7, it's actually training in gratitude and in connection, seeing the connection between us and other sentient beings. And feeling that we are not disconnected, we depend on everyone. Most of which we don't know, we are not aware out of our own ignorance. But this doesn't mean that we do not depend on them. We do not know all the whales that are in the ocean. We are not aware of the way how they are beneficial to us, but yet they are beneficial to us. And like this it goes to every other form of life. We don't know why, we don't know how, but without them we would not be here as we are. You know? And I just take the opportunity to add something. Sometimes we listen all these pledges about the importance of the environment and biodiversity. And sometimes looks like the importance of biodiversity is because we like to have beautiful zoos, you know? Because we like to see different animals and different forms of life, because the nature is beautiful. Every form of life has an importance on all the others that it interacts with. Even viruses have an importance. I know it's not a very good moment to say that, but still. Even though we may not understand the importance of viruses in our own process of evolution and so on, they still have an importance in the whole complex. Every interaction, every part of nature has an important role to play. So, we train ourselves into feeling this connection and feeling gratitude. This is the first step of the 7. Okay? if we do correctly the first step, it will naturally take us to the second. If we do not do it correctly, we can go to the second, we will not be able to realize it. The second step is training oneself in remembering the kindness. So, Marche Tin Drimpa. So the first one, to be precise, the first step is actually recognizing how every sentient being is to us as our mother, is connecting with everyone, seeing how everyone is important to us. Okay? Then there is even another aspect here which I like just briefly to add, which is, according to this process of training, in the very beginning we went through what is our main objective. Okay? And we have seen that our objective, as we follow through this mind training, is not that of living in a perfect world, is that of having an attitude which brings harmony in the way how we experience reality. So in other words, the main objective of ours is to develop love and wisdom in order to experience a state of peace, harmony, and in order to help others also. So, how much are other sentient beings important for us on our own spiritual path? The most important mind, state of consciousness that we need to develop on the path is sincere love and compassion. We cannot develop love and compassion if there is no one to love and to feel compassion for. It is said in different teachings that the gratitude that we should have based on the kindness that we receive from sentient beings and from our gurus and Buddhas, holy beings, is exactly the same. It's not one more or the other one less. You know? Because, how to say, the most precious state of consciousness that we can develop is basically love and wisdom. But on the basis there is compassion, there is love. Okay, this is the most precious state of mind that we can develop. But we can only get in touch with the most precious part of ourselves through other. It's like when a Sangha was meditating. You know, some days ago I talked about a Sangha as this great master that taught the vast path, the commentary on the vast path on Buddha's teachings, which is the commentary on the gradual path to enlightenment, on the Sutra of Perfection of Wisdom. One of the most important masters of our lineage. So in one moment, a Sangha, he was actually in a moment in which it is said that he had all the knowledge, but he felt that there was a gap between what he knew and what he felt. And his main objective was actually to truly go beyond his selfishness, to truly develop love and compassion towards everyone in the same way, to truly develop actual bodhichitta. So he went on retreat. He left his monastery, the village where he was, and he went to a small cave, sort of hut, on the high part of a mountain, where he was doing meditation on Buddha Maitreya, which is the embodiment of love. So he was basically familiarizing himself with love and compassion. After 3 years of retreat, which is not 3 years just being there, it's 3 years doing minimum 12 hours a day of meditation. 3 years of retreat, he looked to himself and he said, "Oh, I have no results. I seem to be just as before. I haven't had any vision of Buddha Maitreya or anything like that. Okay, better I go back home. At least there I can be of benefit for more people instead of being alone here. So he was coming down from the mountain, and as he was walking down the path, he meets with an old lady. And this old lady, she has one container with many metal needles, and then another containing full of metal rods, like pieces of metal that looks like a finger, more or less. And then she had one of these in her hand with a piece of cotton, and she was scrubbing it with the cotton, very calmly, gently. And then he looked to the lady and said, "Oh, lady, could you please tell me what you are doing?" And then she looked to him and she said, "Oh, I am actually consuming the metal in order to make needles." And he looked and he said, "Wow, what a perseverance, no? If she can stay so long time to make a needle, what are 3 years of my life to develop great love? That's nothing." So he went back to meditate. Another 3 years passed, total of 6. Then a Sangha was coming down and said, "Okay, I go back home, no effect," so I go back. On his way back, he see a place where there was a drop of water, like from nearby his cave, there was a point in which he saw water dropping. And it was constant, but not so frequent, that the water would always hit the part of stone. And it made a big hole in the stone. So he said, "Wow, if something so light as a drop of water with constancy can make a hole in something so hard as stone, what are 6 years of my life to change my attitude, develop love, overcome selfishness? That's nothing." And then he goes back to meditate. Another 3 years passed, total of 9. No any result. He said, "Okay, now I go." On as he's almost getting down, he sees a big wall of stone. And on the corner, there is a place where birds have their nests. And in order for the birds to reach their nest, they would need to go through this stone wall, and they would always touch the tips of their feathers on the stone wall. And by this, they made a whole, like they excavated the stone by touching with the tips of their feathers so many times. And he said, "Wow, if something so soft, so gentle as the feather of a bird, by passing again and again, is able to make such a big hole on something so hard as a rock wall, what are 9 years of my life, to change this strong, solid mind of selfishness? It's nothing." So he went back to meditate. Another 3 years, no results. So a total of 12 years. Then a Sangha said, "Okay, now no way, I'm going back. No reason, okay, 12 years have passed, no results have happened, there is no point." So he went down. And when he reached down the mountain and he reached the valley, before reaching the village, the first being that he meets was a dog. It was an old dog. And the dog was sick. So there was a part of the dog where there was a big wound. And the wound of the dog was full of worms eating the flesh of the dog. So when he saw that, he developed naturally such a love towards the dog, and he wishes the dog to be free from every form of suffering, from the most simple suffering of the pain that the dog was having, until he was seeing the samsara within the dog and saying, "I wish the dog to be free from the suffering of samsara." He could see the suffering of suffering and the all-pervasive suffering, and he said, "I totally need to help you to get out of suffering." And there was no other priority than helping the dog. Then, first thing to do is, let's take away the worms from the dog. to help to cure the wound. So he went, and when he looked at the wound and he saw the worms there, these little things moving there, he looked at the worms and he saw that he had the same compassion towards the worm. He saw also the worms were suffering, and they're also in samsara in the same way. So then he had a problem that he wanted to take away the worms, but he didn't want to harm the worms. And the worms were actually feeding on the flesh of the dog. So what he did, the solution that he found, he took his knife, he cut a part of his own flesh from his thigh. Okay. Took a part of flesh, he put there to put the worms on it. And then he went towards the dog, and here's something that was not written in the story, at least where I read it, but I added. With all the compassion in the world, still he was disgusted. So it shows that we have habits that are very strong. And why? Because the story says that he closed his eyes. Because the only way how he found to take the worms without harming them was with his tongue. So there he went towards the dog. And he was going, and he was never reaching the dog. And then suddenly he touched the floor. And he falls in the floor. And then he opened his eyes and he looked around and he doesn't see the dog anymore. And then he looked in front of him, and there is Buddha Maitreya, the embodiment of love. And he looks to Buddha Maitreya, and the first thing he says is, "Where is the dog?" And Buddha Maitreya answers, "I was the dog. But during all this time, where were you?" Asanga asked him. "I have been waiting for you for 12 years. Why now?" And Buddha Maitreya answered him, "I was always there, but you couldn't see me. I was present at every moment, but you couldn't see me." So, I will give you my understanding about this story. Each and every one of us, at this very right moment, and every other moment of our life, we have the potential of great love within ourselves. But in order to awaken that potential, it comes through someone else. Asanga was training himself on love and compassion for 12 years, very serious training, was not anything. But when did it actually manifest truly? When he was in front of another being that was suffering. It was when he had someone to whom to love. So, when we are in front of other sentient beings, a person, an animal, an insect, any sentient being, and we allow ourselves to see them, and we allow ourselves to love, actually through the connection with that other sentient being, we are entering in contact and awakening the most precious part of ourselves. We are developing the greatest of our own minds, which is the mind of compassion and love. So, in the 8 verses of mind training, it starts by saying, "Danyi semchen tamchela yishi norbul hela pe tunchu drube sambai takto chebar zimbrasho." Which in English it's something like, "May I always cherish all limited beings, all sentient beings, by considering how far superior they are to wish-granting gems for actualizing the supreme aim." Which is our supreme aim? We want to get out of samsara. We want to reach Buddhahood. We want to reach nirvana. That's our supreme aim. And actually, every sentient being is much more precious to me, much more valuable to me to reach such supreme aim, because through them we can enter in contact with the most special part of ourselves, which is our own love and compassion. And this is much, much, much more precious and more beneficial than having a wish-fulfilling gem. Which, in the modern terms, the wish-fulfilling gem would be a bank account with few $1 billion. But if we need to choose, 1 billion here, ascension being there, which one we choose? The ascension being. No, I don't think so. No. But we need to train ourselves to choose the ascension being. Because all of this comes from the first question that we made to ourselves in the very beginning. What do I want? A world around me that is perfect, or do I want to relate to the world in a perfect way? And if what I want is to find a state of peace that it is independent of external conditions, it depends on developing love, compassion, stability, harmony, and so on. And I can only do that through others. It's not possible for anyone to develop their own qualities such as love and compassion without relying on others, without depending on others. Because I cannot develop love if I have no one to love. That's why when we study Buddhist philosophy in a more detailed way, academic way, like when we do all the debating and all of that, there is one point in which in debate we say, yes, but then what happened with the last sentient being? Have no other sentient beings to feel compassion and love for, then how can he reach enlightenment? Okay, my point was, we don't need to worry about that right now. Okay? And then there is always even debates in which we go and say, oh, but was the love and compassion of a Sangha real? Because if the dog was an emanation of Buddha Maitreya, it was not a real dog, so it was not a real sentient being. Okay, we don't need to go through all of that. The fact is that, which is very clear, in order for us to develop love, to expand our love towards others, we depend on others. So we depend on others on a very mundane way. For our own survival, we do depend on everyone else around us. And for our own spiritual growth, we do depend on others. So may we be able to cherish every sentient being as being precious to us. Okay? So Marche, we connect to others. We see how each and every one is of benefit to us, how we depend on them for our own basic well-being, in this life and in other lives. Second, Chin Drimpa, we connect with gratitude. We allow ourselves to feel gratitude for our own mother. We allow ourselves to feel gratitude for the whale and for every other form of life. Okay? And once we feel gratitude, which is a very good feeling, and we need to remind ourselves that it's like one of the basic aspects on the path to enlightenment is gratitude. Okay. So once we feel this profound gratitude, then we go to the next step, which is a natural result, which is the wish to repay back the kindness. You have done so much for me, I should at least do something for you. No? When someone helps us a lot, do we have a natural reaction that we want to do something for the person that helps us or not? I would say yes, no? There is a joy in doing something for someone that helps us. So, Marche, Chinten, Chinso. Repaying back the kindness. I have received so much, and I feel this warmth of having received so much. I must do something back, whatever is in my own capacities. And once we have this strong feeling, I must do something back, then this will naturally bring us to the fourth stage, which is called Yuon Champa, which is love, Champa. Yuon, which means like Yitu Onwa, which is pleasurable to the mind, which means to have sympathy. In other words, means we connect to sentient beings around us and we feel, okay, I wish you to be happy. What is the best that I can give to you? I can do something to make you happy. I truly wish you to be well. I truly wish you to be happy. Okay? Now, in this process, let's do one moment, one step backwards, and then we go forward again. One important thing, as we train ourselves in this process, we should not start by doing it in a generalized way. All sentient beings, oh, the whale, so beautiful, and all sentient beings, and we feel this sort of generalized love towards everyone. Nice, but not enough. We should start with the 5 categories, which later in the teachings of the 7 points mind training is coming. We should train with our own family, with those that we live with, that we interact daily, with our own friends, which means family, friends, people that we interact on a daily basis, that we are maybe friends or even indifferent or we don't like, but people that we interact on a daily basis, which means people at our work, where we live, neighbors, whatever. Okay? And then we have other 2 categories, which is people that we have benefited and that have actually harmed us afterwards. And people that, for whatever reason, we don't like them and we even don't know why. Which in the traditional way is called people to whom we have a karmic aversion. We look to them and we don't like them. We don't know why. Maybe we're biased by our culture or whatever reason, but we look at them and we don't like them. So this is the 5 categories where we should start training. So where do I look to connect with others? I need first to connect with those that are around me. Then I need to feel able to feel gratitude towards them, because if I'm not able to feel gratitude towards those that I interact on a daily basis, forget about all sentient beings. And I repeat again, as I have said almost every day, we are not here to learn the steps of mind training. We are here to train ourselves. And in order truly to be able to develop this gratitude, we must start by those that are near to us, those that are around us. We develop first equanimity. Then we connect with them. We see how near they are to us, how much they have given us, how much we depend on them. Now and in the past, and also in the future. When we are able to feel that, then naturally we'll develop gratitude. Then we want to repay back their kindness. And then we wish them to be happy. And when we are able to do this with one person, with one sentient being, without being conditioned by our own selfishness, which means I love you independently of what you have done or not to me, then naturally this will expand towards others. So, equanimity as the basis. Then we go Marshe, recognizing the mother. Chinren, remembering kindness. Chinso, wishing to repay back the kindness. Yuon Jampa, sympathy and love. And then this brings to Nyingje, which is compassion. Compassion means I feel connected to you, I wish you to be happy, but then I see that actually you suffer a lot. And I allow myself to see your suffering not only the momentary suffering, but most of all the all-pervasive suffering. I allow myself to see your own cycle of samsara, to see that even though momentarily you may appear as everything is fine, truly you are just in your own process of defilements and karma, and suffering is just a matter of moment. But sooner or later there you are suffering as you are in samsara. And then we allow ourselves to see the other and to wish deeply, I wish you to be free from suffering. Okay. And in this process, what is important is that when we say first love and then compassion, it means your happiness is as important to me as mine. It becomes truly a priority, the happiness of the other. And so happens with the suffering. Your suffering is as important to me as my own. I don't want you to suffer. And when we go through that, we develop the first level of love and compassion, which is the basic love and compassion. Not basic, it's called the great love and compassion, in which we love others independently of who they are or what they have done to the I and the mine. It's unconditional love. We love independently of the I and the mine. I love you because you exist. I wish you to be free from suffering because you suffer. There is a part in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara which says something like, suffering shall be eliminated. It doesn't matter where it is and from whom it is. So, it's like when we look to someone else and we say, you wish to be happy as much as I wish to be happy. You wish not to suffer as much as I do not wish to suffer. You do everything you do thinking is the best for your happiness as I do for mine. Why is my happiness more important than yours? What do I have so special that my happiness is more important than yours, that my suffering is more important than yours? Tell me. What do each one of us have of so special that our happiness has more value than the happiness of others? Do we find a valid reason for that? We are in front of someone else and we ask ourselves, why is my happiness more important than yours? The only answer we may find is because it's mine. There is no other answer. So truly, there is no justification. So when we see your happiness is important as my own, your suffering is important as my own, in this whole process, what we are doing is we are getting more near to others and allowing that attraction for happiness and aversion for suffering simply to expand. As we get more and more near to others, we feel more connected to everyone. We allow ourselves to see them beyond the I and the mine. And once we do that, we can develop what is called the laksam in Tibetan, which means the extraordinary attitude or thought. Lakpa is samba. Samba means thought. Lakpa means that goes beyond, which is the inner mind state in which we say, not only I wish you to be happy and not to suffer, but I take the responsibilities upon myself. I will do whatever I can in order for you to be happy and not to suffer. In other words, we can call passive love and active love. The passive love is, I wish you to be happy, but I'm sorry, I cannot do myself to be happy. What can I do for you, I really wish you to be happy, but I cannot do anything for you. This is sort of passive love. Active love is, I wish you to be happy, and I will do anything that is in my reach in order for you to be happy. This is what we call laksam, this extraordinary attitude, in which we take upon ourselves the responsibility of helping others. Which is not only I wish you to be happy, but as your happiness is as important to me as my own, I will do anything that is in my capability in order to make you happy, in order to help you to be happy, in order to help you to be free from suffering. With the awareness that I cannot make you happy and I cannot take away your suffering. But I will do everything that is in my possibility to help you to be happy, to help you not to suffer. And this is a very intense feeling. But this feeling brings frustration. Have you ever loved someone at the point that you would do anything to help the person to be happy and not to suffer? And then you were simply not able to make the person happy? I think many of us have gone through this. Maybe with our own children, or parents, or companion, or anyone in our life, that we really want the person to stop suffering, and we really want the person not to be happy, and we do everything that we can, and still it doesn't happen, and we don't know what to do. This frustration, the way how I felt it a few times, was in a feeling of being, how do you say in English, impotent, not being capable, or having no means. It's like seeing one's own child burning in the fire and being completely tighted with one's own hand and not being able to go to do anything to help. And even worse, not knowing what to do. Seeing the other in full suffering and not knowing how to act, not knowing what to do. Because we have tried everything that was in our own capability, and still the other is suffering like hell, and we don't know what to do. I don't know if you have ever gone through this. I have gone a few times in my life. Out of my own ignorance, I create this sort of expectation that I could take upon myself the responsibility of the happiness of the other, which is an illusion. Even though it's based on a positive feeling, it's an illusion that generates frustration and suffering. So I don't give up on others. No. What we do, we go to the next step, which is the full awareness that there is no other way of helping others than first developing my own qualities. Because the way how I am now, I cannot help others. I can help a little bit, yes, and I will do whatever is in my reach. I can give food to those with whom I can share food. I can be kind to the environment. I can help people around me in whatever way is possible. But how can I help you to get out of samsara when I am still in my own samsara? How can I help you to be more peaceful if I am not peaceful myself? How can I help you to be in a state of harmony with oneself and others if I am not in harmony? It's not possible. So first, I must develop my own qualities. I must reach this state of peace and harmony, so-called nirvana. I must be able to go beyond my own samsara so that I can help others to do the same. And I will make it. I will develop my qualities to their full potential, because this is the only way how I can truly help others. And the ultimate way of truly helping others is by developing wisdom, correct view of reality. There is no other way. So, out of great love, we develop this sort of frustration in which I want to help others and I don't know how. And we come up to our last resource, which is, okay, I have no other choice than practicing the 6 perfections, going on this long journey to become a Buddha myself. Because there is no any other real way how I can help others on a long-term basis, on a deep way. I can get a lot of money and I can share it with others. That's wonderful. No? There was one man in the United States. I read his story once on a news magazine. I was living in India, and it was on 2 news magazines which I would read once a week, which was News Time and Times and Newsweek. So I had these 2 magazines, Time and Newsweek, and I would read it once a week. And one time on both of them, there was a small article talking about this man. They didn't say his name because he did everything to remain anonymous. But the story touched me very strongly. It was the story of a man that he was living a very simple life. He was like normal middle class. In the article was written, traveling economic class and wearing a $5 watch. I remember was written that. Having a very simple life. And what happened was that for more than 20 years, he created, 20 years before that time of the article, he created a company which was selling products in airports, which we knew as duty-free. And he made this big company which grew a lot in the years. And he kept it as a secret even from his family. So after 20 years, he sold the company, and he gained something like, if I remember well, was something like $12 billion. And then he made a plan that all this $12 billion will be completely finished in 9 years. And he made a plan of giving this money to all sorts of charity. And he didn't keep $1 to himself or to his family. Because he made the company in order to help others, and he kept it in this way. You know? From the 4 generosities, the first is to give materially. You know? And when I read that at that time, I had this thought, okay, maybe he could have kept 1 million for him, no? Or for his children. Instead, no, not even that. He chose to give completely everything, and most of all, he chose to keep himself completely anonymously. No one ever knew who he was. They knew that this happened, but he made in a way that no one came to know that it was him. So he just moved on and continued with his normal, simple life. I was very touched when I read that, because I was saying, wow, that's really pure motivation. So, as we develop the wish to help others, we should adapt whatever resources we have. Some of us, we can help others by the way that we talk, by listening, by looking kindly, by cooking, by cleaning, by doing any type of work and interaction with others. We can help others in many ways. But we know that all these forms of helping others, which are very noble, very special, they have one limitation, which is we can help others to get through their own suffering of suffering, while the actual aim is to help others to get through their suffering of all-pervasive suffering. Unless we help others to get out of their own samsara, it's like endless. Okay, I give food tomorrow you are hungry again. I help you to get out of your suffering now, tomorrow you create another negative karma, and again you are on your cycle, and again suffering. It's endless. So the only way how we can truly help others is by helping others to develop love towards themselves, love towards others, a correct view of reality, to help others to overcome their defilements, selfishness, ignorance, to help others to get out of samsara. That's the only long-term true way of helping. And to do that, first we must do it ourselves. So when we develop this full determination, I must get out of samsara, I must reach ultimate Buddhahood, more than get out of samsara, in order to help others. And when that's very profound and spontaneous and strong within us, that's when we complete the first part of the training, when we develop so-called bodhichitta. Okay? So, the important thing here now is, can you see the connection between where we are now, developing equanimity, which I think we are capable of developing such equanimity if we train ourselves enough. Then we see from equanimity we connect to others, we see how beneficial they are to us, starting with recognizing one's own mother. Then we go through the process of recognizing their kindness, wishing to repay back their kindness, developing sympathy and love, then compassion, taking upon ourselves the responsibility of wanting to help everyone, and then seeing no alternative other than going for enlightenment ourselves. Okay? Can you see the process? Okay? Which is possible. It requires training. Okay? Please, Bernard. Yes. Okay. First of all, there is a very strong impact from environment towards every being living in the environment. And one of the ways how we can help anyone is by helping their environment. We can see that on many different levels. So there is no doubt in the fact that one of the way of helping others is through the environment. Then, from the perspective of as it is in the inner world is in the outer world and vice versa, this is something that we can go a little bit deeper when we will enter into the correct view of reality part, on the next part of the training. Okay, it's something that it needs some more time of reflection together. So, the point which it's very important which you bring is the fact that to help others, yes, helping the environment is a way of helping others. This is no doubt whatsoever on that. But still, the main difficulty that we have is that if I create a certain environment that adapts to you and helps you to change yourself in a virtuous way, it will help. But what kind of environment? What can I do that will fit to your mentality, your needs, and your capacities? I don't know. Sure, as we are in this planet, to have pure air and to help the nature to just follow its own natural course, this has benefit for everyone living here. This is no doubt. But to enter on the level that actually I can help someone on a direct way to overcome one's own selfishness and ignorance, it's quite much more difficult. And the only one that can truly do this is someone that is able to see through the other person's eyes, which means the only way how I can truly help you is to show my version of reality through your own eyes. And to do this, the only possibility is by being a Buddha. Okay, we will explain more about this when we go through the correct view of reality. But the fact is that, okay, let's try to make it simple. When we see someone, anyone, we judge the person, right? We see someone, let's say we see someone in a difficult situation. We try to understand, maybe if this would happen, it will help that person in that way. But we see the other as if the other would experience reality in the way how we experience. I don't know if this is clear. Because when we see someone in a difficult situation, we say, okay, how can I help you? Somehow we think, how could I help myself if I was in that situation? But there is a very basic thing. We are different. So it's like if we make on a more large scale, okay? It's like when we see people really with good intention. I'm not saying the intention is not good. Going from one country to another to help the poor in a country without taking into consideration the complete different culture and context. It's like if you would ask, is child labor wrong? Are children supposed to be working in factories, or are children supposed to be taken care and receiving a good education and so on? What would we say? Oh, children should not be working, right? It's something internationally established. Very well. A friend of ours, one time, was traveling in Nepal on the very small village. And then he found out a place in some villages that were a lot of orphan kids, and no one was really taking care of them. And they were in a state in which they were already beginning to be teenagers and so on. And the work that they were doing was to be living by the side of the main road, and by hand with small hammers, they were breaking stones for construction. They were making like this, what in Italian we call ghiaia. This is small stone that you put together with concrete to make construction, very basic. And they were just breaking it by hand, like the most difficult and basic job. No any future from that. So this friend of ours, he had a carpet factory where many people lived there. So he took some of these children that wanted to come with him. He took to his factory. He gave them a place to sleep. He gave them good food. And he asked someone elder to take care of them and to teach them a job. So basically, they were making carpets, learning how to do carpets, and they were being paid by the square meter of carpet as anyone else. And even though their carpets were not really good, in the beginning they need to throw away whatever they were doing was really not good. He allowed them to be there in order to learn, and to learn a profession, that they could have some sort of future. Okay? Then came one famous international organization in Nepal, and they start to go against child labor very strongly. So they came to his factory, and they gave him an ultimatum, or he send their children back to their original place, or he would get big fines whatsoever. So finally, he had no choice but to take the children and send them back. And he said it was one of the most painful experiences of his life. This is one example that sometimes we go to help others with the best intention, but we think that others' life are like ours. We take our own view of reality, our own world, as a reference to help others. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that humanitarian help often do. On a smaller level, we do this with people around us. We have the tendency to think that others are like us, that they think like us, that they experience reality like us, and we are not able to see the needs of others, truly. We are not able to see reality through the eyes of others. I don't know if this is clear. The only way how I can truly help you is by speaking your own language, by adapting myself to you, by being able to show my view of reality, my paradigm, through your eyes, through your paradigm. And in order to do that, we must overcome our own grasping at inherent existence, our own ignorance. Because one of the qualities that a Buddha has, which is maybe the most important quality, is the ability to see each one independently of a Buddha himself, which means to see each one in accordance to their needs and capacities, and to adapt his actions, his words, in accordance to their needs and capacities of each and every one. That's why we need to become a Buddha. Because the only true way of helping others is adapting ourselves to them and seeing their needs and knowing which is the right way how to act and interact with others. There is no other way. And then we could make many other examples. For instance, how much one person with great love and wisdom, with great inner qualities, can be of benefit in the world. Incredibly. You know, there can be people in the world with so much material resources and can be of so much harm instead of benefit. And there are people that materially have nothing. Very simple life. But because they have this incredible richness of love and wisdom and inner qualities, they are able to give so much to the world, to be of such great benefit. Okay, let's say some famous names. Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa. Okay, in our context we see at Lama Michel Rinpoche. People that like Rinpoche, he had this capacity to touch people's life and to be able to change their life, to touch their heart in such a special way. That the benefit that Rinpoche brought during his lifetime, it's immense. It's not possible to calculate. But that capacity of benefiting others comes from where? From his own love, his own wisdom, his own spiritual stability and development, which allows to give to others. And the same we could see with many other cases. Luckily, it is not only few that we can count in our hand in this world. There are people, as we say, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas manifested in many ways. But it's very clear, the way of helping others, it's only by developing our qualities. There is no other real way to do it. So as we see that we are not independent from others, and as we develop gratitude towards others, gradually this will naturally bring us to this feeling, I must do something. And the only way how I can truly help others is by developing my qualities. And when reaching this state, there are two states of consciousness. And tomorrow we will go again into some little bit more details about this part. But one is called Purshingi Shumbe Rotambo Janchup Gisem, which is the bodhichitta, the mind of enlightenment, the bodhichitta, that is similar to the taste of the husk. You say husk in English, no? The part around the husk of sugar cane. And then there is actual bodhicitta. Okay? I don't know, have you ever eaten sugar cane? Like taking a piece of sugar cane and with the teeth biting it? I did many times as I was young in Brazil and in India. It has one particularity, that it's very sweet. But the husk, the external part of the sugar cane, is also sweet. It's not like banana, for example. That the many fruits, the husk has a complete different taste than the internal part, no? Sugar cane, no. Sugar cane, the internal part, the essence, which is very sweet, is the same taste as the husk, but the husk is much less sweet than the central part. So the taste of the husk of sugar cane means something that it's similar, but it's not the actual thing. You're almost there, but it's not the actual thing. So the bodhicitta that is similar to the taste of the husk of sugar cane is basically the moment in which the practitioner has this intense urge to help others, this intense love and compassion towards everyone in a non-conditional way. It's true love and compassion towards others, and a strong intention and need to do something for them. But the practitioner do not have yet full trust that he or she can do it. So it means I want to help others, but I don't have full trust in myself that I can make it. It would be nice to reach enlightenment, but I think it's too difficult. I don't think I can make it. So there is a moment in which full love is developed towards others, but still is missing trust in oneself. Still is missing this profound, strong trust. I can make it. I can truly become a Buddha to help others, and I believe that I can do it. When this full trust is developed in a very spontaneous way, that's when full bodhicitta is developed. Full bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, it requires two aspects: love and compassion towards others, and trust in oneself that I can reach enlightenment to help others. In Tibetan it's called Rantung-gedumpa and Shindung-gedumpa, which means the aspiration for others and the aspirations for oneself. The aspiration for others means I wish everyone to be free from suffering, I wish everyone to be happy, and that's a priority for me. The aspiration towards oneself, it is, I must reach the state of Buddhahood myself, and I believe that I can make it as a way to help others. But I believe in myself, I can make it. Let's take the metaphor of this man that had the duty-free shop. Since I read that article, I started liking duty-free shops more. Anyhow, now it was already sold. Now it's already a new owners. But imagine that at one point, this man says, oh, I need to help humanity, it's too much suffering, I must do something. And he has this very strong urge to help others materially. But he says, oh, but I can never make it. Come on, I am just a simple man. I have a simple life. I could never help them so much. But then at one point he develops trust in himself and say, I can make it. And he acts towards that which was within his own reach. That's a very important point. We must act on what is within our own reach. Because if we stay crying, oh, I would like to help the world, but it's too difficult, we will never start. All the environment needs to be taken care. Global warming, the soil is being destroyed, Amazon forest, the animals, the whales, who knows what. Like we put all these things together and we say, oh, but what can I do? Nothing. The problem is too big for me to do anything. So we remain in an idealized image of what should be done, and we never start doing anything. Because we see that what is in our reach is too small. But that's not true. That's a big lie. What is in our reach, it's incredibly big. And the more we do what is within our own reach, the more our own reach expands. So we must act now within our own reach. And this also regards putting effort to develop our own qualities. I cannot become a Buddha like this. No way. But I can change my habits. I can be more kind. I can concentrate myself better. I can change my own paradigm gradually. That's why the path to enlightenment is not an immediate path. It's called the path of developing the perfections, of perfecting ourselves, of gradually training ourselves into, on the basis, love and equanimity. Then there is generosity, morality, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom. We gradually train ourselves on the path. But it's fundamental important that we believe in ourselves and we act within our own reach. And this is what truly makes the difference. Okay? So when we have these two strong intentions to help others and to develop ourselves in order to help others, we believe in ourselves that we can make it, which brings also a very high self-esteem. So we overcome selfishness with a very high self-esteem. We just say, I can make it. I truly can overcome my own defilements. I can develop my qualities in a way that I can help others. Buddha Shakyamuni did. I can also make it. It will take my time. Many others did before me. Why can't I make it? And there is one point here which I like just to add in order to conclude for today. Lama Michel Rinpoche was reminding us again and again that we must gain realizations, in the sense that he was saying you should not see great bodhisattvas as something of the past, great meditators as something of the past. Rinpoche would say, I want to see the Italian bodhisattva, the British bodhisattva, the Dutch bodhisattva, the Brazilian bodhisattva, and so on. In the sense that we are here now, we have all the conditions. We must put it into practice. You know, life goes by so fast. And one day it's finished. And then, so what? What have we done with our life? So the point truly is, let's make this life meaningful. Let's use it in a meaningful way. And the best way is by actually helping others, by truly opening our heart. And the best way to do is developing our qualities and doing what is within our own reach. We live in a moment of history where there are many very serious problems in society. But at the same time, there is a very diffused idea that we cannot do anything about it. So we rather stay just looking at it. Instead, there is so much that we can do that is within our own reach. You know, just making one example, we talk about environment. How I consume. Does it have an impact on the environment? How much I consume? How much I buy? And what I buy? Does it have an impact or not? Sure. So just start to consume in a way with full awareness. That's already a big thing to do. interact with the world with awareness, taking into consideration the common well-being of others. And then gradually we do one step after the other. But it is possible. And please try to look and say, I can become a bodhisattva. I want to become a bodhisattva. It's possible. We are even taught the steps necessary. And if we are able to think about equanimity and to generate some sort of equanimity, means we can train ourselves in equanimity, which means we can gradually follow each one of these steps until we develop true bodhicitta, which is a very, very powerful and special state of mind. Okay? So we shouldn't look at the bodhisattva as some sort of saint, an idealized view. Bodhisattva is what we want to be. This is our own objective in life. I want to be a Buddha, but before that I must be a bodhisattva. And this is what I do in my life. This is my main objective. Full stop. All the rest is just, secondary. It's just there. It's not the real thing. Okay? So please, look upon it, and we should train ourselves wherever we are, one step after the other. But it's actually truly possible if we actually train ourselves. If we don't train ourselves and we just leave our mind, oh yes, how beautiful, bodhicitta, this and that, then we never get anywhere. If we follow the steps and we truly put an effort in it, we will gradually go on the steps. Okay? We will gradually walk on the path. And as I said many times, we have no hurry to reach the result. We have a hurry to be on the right direction, to be walking in the right direction. This, yes. And then the rest will come smoothly. Okay? So with this we have Lelen tamche chiglada kun la kadrin chewagom. Banish the one to blame for everything. Meditate or familiarize on the great kindness of all beings. Okay? Then tomorrow we continue with the rest of the verses. From tomorrow on, the other verses, then we start to go a little bit faster with the text. Okay? The very beginning, it's very condensed. It's a lot of content in very few words. Then as we go on, it gets a little bit more, less dense. Okay? Sashi peke chukshe medo tran rerab lingshe nide gemba de sangye shindo mikte ulwarge drogo namda shingla chopra sho chetsun lame kotse rapten chi namkara chinle chokchur gebadam losan tembe drume sasumge drowe munsela tatu ne gyur chi yedam Guru Ratna Mandrala Kam Niryata Yami Kyewa Kundu Yanda Lama Dan Dralme Cheki Pela Long Chechin Sadan Lamgi Yente Rabzone Dorje Change Kopa Nyurtobo Shua Nimo Dele Tsendele Nime Kuyan Delekshin Ninsen takto delekpe kuncho sumke jinge lop kuncho sumke ngodrubutsol kuncho sumke trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle all the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. All'alba o al tramonto, di notte o durante il giorno, possano i tre gioielli concederci le loro benedizioni, possano aiutarci ad ottenere tutte le realizzazioni e cospargere il sentiero della nostra vita con molti segni di buon auspicio. Oma huntum balame sangye rinpoche, kyo balame tamche rinpoche, rinbalame gendo rinpoche, kyamne kuncho sumla chopa, locho sampo pa gyutra shipa, tuche tembe trin, pegi drolo tambe zebra che, pande lame shela chopa, Buon appetito. Grazie a tutti.